Hey, welcome everyone. This is Chuck Hogan from Your Best Life, and welcome to the Spanglish World Network on Zingo TV, channel 250. Please remember to download both the Zingo TV app on the respective app stores on iOS and Android devices. While you download, make sure to rate and leave a comment. The app is completely free. Zingo TV is also available on Google Chromecast, Amazon Fire and Fire TV sticks, Roku sticks, and also on all smart TVs 2016 and forward. So I know you hear me say this all the time, but I've got a treat for you. And the amazing part about this speaker who's coming on today is that not only is he one of the most accomplished mentor strategists when it comes to the world of sales and high performance, but he's also one of the most soulful people I have ever had the opportunity of meeting. He's young, he's brash, he's bold, he's dynamic, and he, again, has one of the hugest hearts of any human being I've ever had the pleasure of experiencing on this planet Earth. So without further ado, my brother from another, the one, the only, Brian Mayoral. Brian, dude, we've had so much fun today already. I mean, we had a session this morning with the speaker spotlight on the YBL community, but you and I were having a discussion, and that really warmed my heart and touched me today, because oftentimes you and I are talking optics and business and sales performance, and that kind of gets a little woo-woo for some people, because they're like, well, Chuck, I don't own a business and I'm not an entrepreneur. But you said something today that really resonated at such a deep level, and it had to do with the topic of influence. And I know you've run sales organizations, you've trained tens of thousands of people in relation to high performance and being their best so that they can do their best. But for someone who's home, and out of the millions of people that this show has access to, what would you say to someone that is the most powerful essence, if you will, around influence?
Yeah. First and foremost, thank you for the warm introduction. You make me feel like King Kong, brother. I appreciate you. And those of you who are tuning in, you know that you're in front of one of the best in the world, Chuck Hogan, here with an even bigger heart and serves from his passion. And back to your question, Chuck, I think most people that hear the word sales or they hear the word influence and they're like, that's not me. I'm not in a profession where I'm influencing or selling other people. And what I would tell you is, without influence, you don't have leadership. Without influence, you don't have relationship. Without influence, you don't have the ability to get your kids to do what they need to do. Without influence, you don't have the ability to get yourself out of bed. The truth of the matter is that the universal skill that is required for almost any profession, almost anything we do in life, like the human skill that is universal for all human beings on planet Earth, is the skill of influence. Remove the word sales or any of that kind of stuff. Influence, human influence. Now I want everyone to think about, like, if you're listening to this right now, like, think about something on planet Earth that has moved that didn't require influence. Now I'm not talking about like the trees or the rocks or anything natural. I'm talking about human beings. Think about a human being who has moved or done anything on planet Earth without influence. Influence is the ability to inspire someone from within to get action or movement going. And if you and I, Chuck, what you've been able to do throughout your life and all the success that you've been able to create and all the lives that you've touched, is you've been able to influence other people to step into their best selves. And for some of you who are listening, influence is you as a mother getting your children to do the things that they need to do. You as a father getting yourself to step up and hold a standard for your family. Influence is asking that beautiful person out on a date. Influence is getting your boss to give you a raise. Influence is in every fiber. It's the one skill that has been passed along from generation to generation since the beginning of time. Human beings have told stories around campfires. And then from one generation to the next, we pass along stories which influences the next to be inspired to do something. So, Chuck, I know you're a believer in this, but for those of you who are listening, like, if you're stuck, if you're having a hard day, if you're having a great day, or you want to have more success, or you know that there's something that's inside of you that you haven't done yet, or there's someone on planet Earth that you know deserves more, it's going to require the skill of influence. And Absolutely. That's what life's mission to focus on this one thing, which is the skill of influence?
It changes the metric around everything. It's not, and let's be very clear about this. There's this miscommunication in our own psyche and our own well-being sometimes that we go, oh, influence. Well, why do I qualify? I don't have any additional skill sets. And I go, you have a heart. You are breathing and you are above ground and you're not broken. And the truth of the matter is that although you may stand in judgment of self in that moment, that you require more skill or that you don't have life experience, I would say that's baloney. In fact, I'm going to go a step further and say your influence starts with influence of self. Your ability to be able to get up, your ability to make a decision that today is your day, that there's opportunities and possibilities that abound all around you, that you are not limited by the scope of your environment. In fact, you're actually empowered by it. That in that struggle that you learn lessons that cultivate and forge you, that give you the strength, the ideology, the doctrine, the dogma, the belief system. It could be your faith, it could be your family, it could be your friendships, it could be the fun and frolicking, the fitness, the finance, all of it. You're not a combination of one thing, you're the combination of everything. Yet, if you stand in judgment that you don't deserve to influence self, and I'm going to put it a slightly different way. Influence starts from being you. And there is nothing more unique than you. Yes. Nothing. Regardless of how broken you may feel in a moment. But I'm going to remind you of something, and this comes from behavioral sciences, and this is something that Brian and I have studied for many years now. And it does make a difference when you have this understanding and you can get this into a possibility. We'll just make it a possibility, just a glimmer, if it's even a spark for a moment. What if you're right where you're supposed to be? What if that everything that's culminating, you go, Chuck, you don't know what I've been through. Brian, brother, you have no idea the passion that I have, but the roadblocks I've hit. I said, you're right. And I do know that the universe has conspired, because if you're watching this right now, you have a drive and a spark in your heart. And it didn't come from your head. It came from a very deep place. And in being in that space and having that self-respect, that you are looking to enhance your life, that you're raising your standard. We set standards so that we can raise them, that we can live and espouse to them. These aren't goals and outcomes. This is a standard of living that we have committed to. That's what influence is.
Yes. Yeah, just to piggyback off what you're saying, Chuck, and the wisdom is coming out of you from all the people that you've been able to impact, and you've been able to impact my life as well. For those of you who don't know, Chuck has impacted my life. And for those of you who are sitting here watching this, whatever form you're digesting this in, and for those of you who think or believe or feel at this moment that there is no hope, or you are stuck, or what the heck, why has this happened to me? What is going on? I feel out of control. Whatever you might be going through, it's okay to feel that. It's okay to experience that. But let me ask you this question, and that's a big but. Every single thing that you've gone through, who was there? Everything that has been overcome in your life, who was there? You were. And somehow you found a way to get yourself to this moment today. There is nothing that you haven't already conquered to get to this place. Exactly. And maybe you flipped to this channel, or you got to this video out of random, and now maybe you're hooked and you saw how good looking Chuck was, and now you're like, I want to listen to more of this guy. But something compels you. There's a reason you're waking up every day. There's a reason you go to work every day. And that is you knowing what your heart's desire is, what your soul's desire is. And following that is what Chuck's talking about, is being the person that you're capable of being so that you can influence the outside world. But it first starts with influencing the internal world.
You know, Brian, it's interesting. I started asking this question of a lot of folks, and I was really surprised at the responses. And I asked them, how often do you dream? And they're like, well, what do you mean? I set goals. I have these goal setting exercises, and I have this. Great. Is your board filled with dreams, or is it just filled with things and stuff? And it was really interesting because as we started going down this rabbit hole slightly, I said, the things and stuff that are on this board, how do they make you feel? And all of a sudden it started clicking, and it's like, wow, I picked that car because I felt a certain way. I picked that house, that vision of a house. I picked, they're not in a relationship yet. I picked this relationship vision because I felt a certain way. I felt empowered. I felt clean and clear and compelled and enthused and valued and it's like, oh, wow, look at all the possibilities. That's not things and stuff. That's you. That's how you feel about any of these things. And you asked a brilliant question earlier today in a session. You said, if you don't hit the goal, if you don't get the thing or stuff, how'll that make you feel? And for some people, they go, oh, then I'll have failed. I said, only if you're judging. Only if you're judging that thing is what has the meaning. Or if you're going, no, the meaning I'm giving to it is the fact that I need transportation. I want a Ferrari. Sorry, I got a Lexus. Sorry, I got a new Fisker, or I have the new Tesla. Wah, wah, wah. So bad for you. It's like, no, it's the journey and how we get to feel about that progression. The infinite mindset is such a beautiful concept that we don't have to abide by all the rules. We get to actually throw the rules away and actually look at it from a different standpoint. And that is, gosh, I'm looking for value alignment. I'm not looking for someone to just love me because I only love them. I'm looking to be in a relationship with someone because you don't win at relationships. There's no winning the game. There's staying in it as long as you can.
Mm.
So why wouldn't you want to enjoy? And we can even, I'll say, lighten that term influence and just go, how about if it was just appreciation of self? How about if it was appreciation of all the blessings that you're surrounded with constantly, all the possibilities, all the options, the fact that your heart is beating and that you're breathing. I don't know about you, but I don't go up and get up and go, hey, breathe again. Oxygen's good. Keep doing this thing. It's unconscious competence. But so many people allow themselves to talk themselves out of that internal dialogue that they don't deserve the happiness that surrounds them every single day.
Yes. I couldn't agree more. I think most people get it twisted. For those of you who are listening, just like, don't get it twisted, okay? This simple distinction is something you can apply to your life right now. And this is to distill what Chuck is saying and make it like right now, like in your life, evaluate this. Make your goals for accomplishment difficult, but make feeling the way that you want to feel easy. This is the distinction, y'all. This is what Chuck's saying. Don't get it twisted. Just because your goals are hard doesn't mean that it should be hard to feel good.
That's right.
You should make your life easy to feel good. So if you had a piece of paper right now or your phone or out, I would write down the things in your life right now that you are making it difficult to feel good for. And then I would write down the things that are in the difficult column that should feel good that don't, because you're not allowing it to, because of when Chuck said throw out the rules, because you create the rules. Absolutely. You create the rules for your internal, and you get to go after all the hopes and dreams. Get the car, get the house. Chuck's got he's got a beautiful family. He's got a beautiful home. He's had a beautiful career. He's an entrepreneur. He's been able to impact a lot of people's lives. He's accomplished things. But don't get it twisted that you can't feel good until you have those things.
Right.
You can feel good and make the goals really, really difficult. And I think, to tie it all in with influence is influencing yourself to feel good more often and get the things that you want, accomplish the things you want along the way. But don't think that you have to sacrifice one to get the other.
No, Brian, that's brilliant. And we know that the ideology is that where focus goes, energy flows. Mm-hmm. And so when people say, don't think about the elephant, don't think about an elephant, all of a sudden people are like, oh, I'm thinking about an elephant. Why? Because they brought it up. It's like, but because the brain doesn't know negative, it's always looking for evidence. It's always looking for the possibility. And so the truth is that when we get into that space of acknowledging how we need to feel most often, but most people don't plan how they need to feel. And they go, well, shouldn't that be a response? I go, no, that's called a trigger. That's called an anchor to something, and we have a response mechanism. But here's the freaky thing about triggers. All the years of studying behavioral science, very rarely do I have someone that go, I was triggered positively. I was so triggered that I chose to extend and blow up. They go, no, I've been triggered negatively. And it set me off, and I went into an altered state, and I didn't feel good, i.e., I felt bad. Oh, well, what did that mean for you? Because the fact is, we get to decide where our focus and our energy is going. And something that you and I have espoused to for many years now is rituals. Like, what are your rituals when you get up in the morning? I have a simple one that I do before I go to bed at night and when I wake in the morning, and it takes 2.5 minutes a day. So let's take your 24-hour day, and in 2.5 minutes, this is a simple exercise. Before I go to bed at night, I ask myself, how do I need to feel tomorrow? I do. And I go, okay, great. So if that's contributory, if that's valued, if that is philanthropic, if that is productive, I go, outstanding. And then I ask myself this question. I get to feel this way anytime I. Eating healthy, having great conversations, working out, progressing in business, setting up SOPs, standard operating procedures, looking at KPIs, critical, or key production indicators. And it's like, okay, this is all great stuff, but the truth of the matter is, going back to your point, I make it so easy to feel this way. And at the end of the day, when I get home, I ask myself, actually, I take that back. So at the end of the day, to set the frame. That morning, I reaffirm it. When I get up, I go, okay, I slept all night. I set the intention before I went to bed. And I woke up because I'm speaking to my unconscious at that point. I'm actually setting the frame. And I get up and I go, oh, am I still in alignment? And I go, you know what? I'm going to add some fun to this because that's really cool. I want to feel even more fun and frolicking and free. And it's like, okay, cool. So when you get to set the frame and set the intention, and you also get to check in at night, it only takes, and I'm going to recommend writing this down in your journal. Start to be deliberate about where your focus is going, so that way you're not doing it by happenstance. And what you're going to find is that ordinary things done consistently produce extraordinary results. You will start to find that you're setting a frame for success, and you're influencing yourself, body, mind, and spirit.
Yeah.
Because oftentimes people will go into their business brain, right, Brian? I mean, it's like, they go, oh, but Chuck, if it was that easy, Brian, if it was so easy, I'd just manifest more money and I'd influence myself to be successful. And it's like going, okay, you have the energy? Are you taking care of your health and vitality? Are you spiritually sound, where you're actually connected to a source higher than you? It doesn't have to be God. It could be, source energy. It could be universe, wavelengths, environment, people. Because you reminded me of something today, brother, and I want to thank you from the center of my heart for this, and that was community. You are the company you keep. For you, as far as influence is concerned, who do you consider like your inner circle?
Yeah. I'm reevaluating this at this stage in my life, right? So if you're listening to this here, there's different stages of life, right? I'm 32 years old, so I'm in a big evaluation of inner circle kind of period of my life. And I think for the short time I've been on this planet, at different stages, I reevaluate who I'm around, right? Like there's the obvious ones from when you graduate high school to college, if you went to college, or you graduate from one job to the next or another job to the next. There's these graduation moments which allow you to be in a different space and time to question who the people you're around and if they're the right thing. It creates newness. And at the age of 32, as I start to head off into like creating a family and these types of things in my life, the people that I want to put around me are the people who honestly make me feel good, but challenge me. Yes. At the same time, because I value growing, I value newness, but now I also value love at a level that I never valued love. And I want to be around people who make me feel good. And the reason being, Chuck, and to take it to take what you said and just like throw more love on top of it is, when there's someone listening to this who's like a high achiever and you've been taught, right? Okay, it's not all about feeling good. It's not all about fluff. It's not all about this. Well, hold on a second. Hold on just a second. Just a second. Hold on there, mate. You got to listen. The way you feel is your experience of life.
That's it.
Like, let me ask you this. Do you want to walk into a room and have the person that you're talking to make me feel terrible? No. We all know those people in our life, right? Where they walk into a room and it's like the first thing that comes out of their mouth is like a poop sandwich. All they want to do is tell you about what's not going well, what's happening in the world, the things they can't control, all these things, and they put you into a lower state of emotion.
Yes.
That's the person I don't want to be around. I want to run like heck. Now, I'm not telling you don't be there for your friends. I'm saying don't let your friends drag you down.
Thank you.
And there's a difference between supporting someone going through a difficult time and then someone who lives in a difficult time. Because let me ask you this, anyone who's listening, I know, Chuck, you know the answer, but anyone who's listening, do you know people who have less than you who are happy? And do you know people who have more than you that aren't happy? Is there a way to be happy and have more? And the answer is yes. The answer is yes. But it doesn't matter how much you have if you're not happy in the internal game. And Chuck, in every stage of life, and I'm evaluating who helps me feel good, but not tells me what I want to hear all the time.
That's
because I want to feel good. I want someone who supports my dreams and my hopes, but I also want someone who challenges me to be my best. I don't want a yes committee. I want a committee that says, yes, I like what you're saying, but you need to be better. You need to elevate who you are. Yeah. And those people are the people that help me reach not just a great internal state, but the external goals. And to bring it all in, and I know you and I are so like feeling good is the key. Yes. Because who do you want to be around? Do you think that the person who doesn't feel good and brings a room down, are they going to have a lot of influence? No. No. They might have influence over other people who are miserable just like that. The people who have influence are control of their own emotions, are able to influence external. Chuck, jump in. I love it.
No, without question. And one of the things, just to adjunct onto that, it's so imperative that it's in authenticity. Yeah. Let's be very clear. You will meet people who are strategically savvy. Yes. And they're able to go ahead and manipulate a room. And they go, oh, they're masters of influence. I said, for a period of time. The difference is it's not sustainable because it's not who they really are.
Yes.
See, those that flow grow. Those that force, they actually end up creating walls and restrictions, because what happens is they're so strategic that at some point in time, they make what I'll call a superficial connection. But that connection starts to become frayed. It starts to become, because there's no fluidity to it. And so when you're being your true self, we have a family motto, and it's a very simple one. You can be doing your best, but never being your best. I know a ton of people that are doing their best every single day. In fact, that's what they espouse to. Their moniker is, do your best. Just do your best. That's all you got to do. In fact, whatever you put your mind to, you can achieve. And I go, ooh, I go, well, you disagree? And I said, I believe till you achieve, don't fake it till you make it. So I believe that when you're being your best, you'll always do your best. But there's an aspect to this, and it's so simple and it's real. When you are being your best, you have access to all your resources. It doesn't mean that you're perfect. It doesn't mean that you're going to get it right 1,000,000% of the time. It doesn't even stand for perfection. What it does, it creates a harmony within you. See, there's no such thing as work-life balance. Let's just cap that right now, okay? There is no such thing as work-life balance. There's no 50-50. It's harmony. And in your relationships, I'm here to tell you, thank goodness I married the most heart-centric, drop-dead gorgeous, beautiful woman that walks the planet. Sorry, Brian.
Shout out to Julie.
Hey, she's remarkable, dude. And I will say this. She makes me a better man because she is constantly living for a harmonious state. So even when I'm not my best, she elevates. And when she's having a tough day, I'll elevate. And this yin and yang. It's a love affair that I hope to have till I'm 150, because with Dave Asprey's help and all the hacking that we're doing, I'm praying, and I want to be as good looking as this guy and be able to grow a mustache, because this has been a challenge for me, man.
It's gonna be a tough one, Chuck. not being better looking, but this mustache, it kills, brother.
Listen, I have facial hair envy right now, and so now to your point, Brian, it's so imperative for people to. And I know we joke and jest a little bit, and we're actually making this sound so simple, because it is. It really is. We make things so complicated. So I get asked this question. I'm going to ask this of you, brother. What's the number one thing that someone can do when they get into this disempowered state, or they start getting in, they start going down the rabbit hole, so to speak, of self-doubt, self-judgment?
Yeah, in case any of you are human that are listening, I'm sure you've never been through a disempowered state before, but just in case you have, what disempowered state is saying is you've ever felt down, depressed, anxiety, fear, anxiousness, hesitation, whatever feeling that you don't want to feel. If you've ever felt that, or if it ever pops up, first and foremost, you have to recognize the feeling.
Yes.
Because at the end of the day, there's different ways to change the feeling, right? And if we're always focused on change and we're not recognizing what is, that's a very difficult place to be in, because you never recognize the pattern. So the first and foremost is you want to call it forth, right? Chuck has been talking about all these beautiful things. I am feeling this way right now. I'm feeling angry, sad, depressed, whatever. I feel this way right now. And now that I recognize that I feel this way right now, let me place that feeling outside of my body. By noticing it and bringing it to our awareness, our brain says, hold on a second. It's like a siren going off on a police car. We're like, whoop, I feel this way. I recognize that I feel this way. Brain, heart, soul, recognize that there's the signal. Now, recognize that this feeling is not me. Recognize that the way that I feel is not me. And separating that feeling from who you are, and then remind yourself that feeling will not last forever.
Exactly.
And knowing that feeling won't last forever, now you put yourself in the control seat. Everyone say control on 3. 1, 2, 3, control. You put yourself in the control seat. And that control seat gives you power. Not power to do things, but power to be who you want to be. And not ignoring that feeling, because recognizing that feeling is real. And it's okay to feel. And it's okay not to have beautiful days. Once you recognize that feeling, the first thing that you want to do is you want to change the way that you move your body. Most people have talked about the brain-body connection. There's no such thing. It's a full connection. It's all one, right? And most people try and think their way out of something. Don't do that. You'll get lost in thought. The first thing that you want to do is recognize it, put it outside of your body, and recognize that this body has control of that feeling.
Yes.
And you want to change the way that your energy rises. So energy means there's all these different chemicals that go through your body. To distill it down, you want to raise your energy. Because from a higher energy state, you are able to do something about that feeling. You now become more powerful than the feeling. And that's why you'll see people like athletes before a game. You'll see them jumping up and down. You'll see them moving. You'll see them throw smoke in the air like LeBron James, because there is a physical motion attached with a higher energy state. And from that higher energy state, now you become more powerful than any feeling or anything that caused that feeling.
That's right.
And now that it's outside of your body and you've raised your energy state, now what Chuck was mentioning is where your focus goes becomes what you feel. So now that you've raised your energy above that feeling to a higher state, you want to shift where you place your attention. And I know you know what's coming next, so I'll let you top it off. What would you do when that state arises? So now that you have more control of it, now that you have put yourself in a higher energy state and they placed their intention somewhere else, what's next? I'd be curious to what you said.
Because the main thing is that we understand that you didn't just get to having these feelings out of happenstance. You're the byproduct of your community. You're the byproduct of all your life conditions, everything that you've experienced from the time that you were an embryo till the time that you are a young adult, 18 years old. And so at the end of the day, what if you could exercise just one thing, and that's forgiveness? That you're not broken, and that what you're doing isn't intentional. It's part of a computer program that's a default mechanism, and what you're doing is putting in patches. So if you've ever had an upgrade on your phone, if you've ever gotten, these little quirks and these little fixes on your phone, I'll say, oh my gosh, my phone's running so much better. Oh my gosh. It's like all these things where I was having lag time before and it was slowing down. It's like, whoa, it's running like a brand new device. It's like, yes. What's the 7.0 of you when you're not judging yourself? And so when we start to exercise, so, Brian's in really good shape. He runs marathons. He works out consistently. Julie and I work out all the time. I'm sharing this with you because that saying of ordinary things done consistently, if you want to build a muscle, if you only do one curl, you're not going to get much in the way of results. So you need to condition. And that sounds like a fancy term. So I'll make it simple for you. Where that new focus is, you're going to condition it and you're going to compound it. Einstein called it the eighth wonder of the world. When you take little things, if you were to take a penny and compound it every single day, you'd be amazed at the riches that you actually can accumulate. But we look over the little things because we're focusing on the big things. Oh, my goal is to have this. It's to have financial freedom. It's to have the big house on the hill. It's to have the Maserati. It's to have the Rolls Royce, the Bugatti. And I'm like, those are all great. And you need transportation. You need lodging. You need food and shelter. Wow. So what if we got back to basics? This is something that my brother knows a ton about, and that is that we get to influence self by honoring what we need and not chasing what we want. So when you get to that space, you've been triggered, you ask yourself, how am I feeling right now? And what does this mean? That's what Brian was literally like, okay, what does this mean that I feel this way? And is that who I really am? You're like, no, that's why it doesn't feel good. Because your body knows that it's like, okay, whoa. What's going through here isn't matching what's here. And so I'm disconnected. I don't feel whole right now. I feel like parts of me are scattered. And I go, And when you start to judge any part of yourself, this is the mind-blowing part, you lose access to all the faculties and all the resources of that part of you. So it becomes really important that breathe and slow down. Motion creates emotion. Move your body, elevate that energy. And Brian's a1,000,000% spot on. When you're low energy, think about this. How do you know someone's depressed? You can see it. It emotes in their physiology. Their energy's suppressed. They're low. They're shallow breathing. Their energy's tight. The people that when you walk into a room, when this dude walks in a room, people are like, dang. Why? Because he doesn't just walk into a room. He presents himself in a room. And it's not because he's trying to get anybody's attention. It's just that's what the energy that he's resonating at. Why is this important? Because you're going to attract the kind of people into your world that you need by being your best self. That doesn't mean putting on a show. That doesn't mean, dressing flamboyantly. That means by being uniquely you. Why would you want to attract people that don't respect and love you for you? That includes when you look in the mirror. If you're not respecting and honoring and appreciation of the beautiful soul that you're gazing into their eyes and that you're feeling that energy, I'm going to highly suggest you start taking more self-care and self-time to connect with self in meditation, in music, dance, move your body, martial arts, weight train, go for a walk. Hold your significant other's hand and just spend time together. Talk to one another. Elevate each other. Life is short. I've lost too many friends in the last couple years. I just lost one this last week. And so I'm sharing with you, don't squander the one thing that the universe blesses every single one of us with, and that is 24 hours in a day. At midnight, it resets, and you get to decide who's showing up to the party. Are you going to live your best life, or are you going to live in survival? Are you just going to get by? So Brian asked, what do you do after that? It's like you recognize and you start to dream and you condition it. There's nothing worse than a small dream, y'all. I'm just telling you right now. It's like you want a beehead, a big, hairy, audacious dream. You want something that's so grandiose. You're like, because like Brian said, it's like, hey, you want to make your goals like so freakishly large that people are like going, you're nuts. And you're like, heck yeah. But I'm committed to having fun the entire way. So even if you don't get there, here's the cool part. You're not going to judge it. You're going to reward and applaud the journey. If it's a millimeter or a mile, you're going to go ahead and you are advancing and growing, and progress equals happiness. And all the possibilities you experience along the way, and all the variety and all the people and all the connections, all the love, all the energy. I'm like, what a beautiful life.
Yeah.
Because no one ever said, oh, he had the most toys, he won. I don't want that to say tombstone. I want to say he was a loving father, a doting husband, a good man. I will take that. I will take being remembered on this planet as being someone who cared about others and shared every single gift he was ever blessed with. That doesn't mean I give it away to everybody else either. It means my family and I deserve the best of me and not what's left of me. And I will be ready to show up fully and whole for everybody else.
Yes.
It's the parts of me.
Yeah, Chuck, you mentioned a few things, and I like when we're talking about people who don't feel resourceful or feel stuck or any of these things, just like remember that emotions are a resource.
Yes.
They're a tool, right? Like, and you know this, and if anyone who's listening, just remember that like your creator or whatever you believe in gave you emotions for a reason. Anger, frustration, sadness, depression, excitement, love, joy, power, contribution. Like the feeling is a tool. The problem is if you are feeling the way that you don't want to feel too often, the tool is using you and you're not using the tool.
Exactly.
And remember, and Chuck said it just to distill it down, you are not your emotions. You are the one who gets to choose the emotions. It's not about faking the emotions all the time. It's okay. Like if something happens, like Chuck talked about, he lost someone recently. It's okay to feel not good. It's okay to feel it. It's not okay to live in it. Because living in it doesn't improve your life. Living in it doesn't improve your family's life. It's not okay to wallow. It's okay to feel. It's not okay to wallow. Because then you become the wet blanket who walks in a room and brings everyone down. Chuck and I know that, especially if you have a significant other, you know that it's not all butterflies and rainbows. You're not going to piss glitter every day, right? The truth is there's going to be days, moments where you don't feel good,
right? And
that's okay. Honor that, and just know that if you're living in it, it's a choice.
You don't have to stay stuck.
You don't have to stay stuck.
I choose to remember my friend for his quirkiness, and I know three things: he's no longer in pain. He's not suffering, and I have nothing but fond, loving memories of this human being.
Yes.
And so I smile when I think about him. And isn't that the legacy that we would all love to leave? I don't want people to be miserable when I leave this earthly plane. I want them to go, gosh, this guy loved life. He loved to dance. He loved to dote on his family. He loved to love his friends. He loved to help enhance this world and make it a better place so that we all know that we're not broken. To live in a beautiful state and not have to suffer.
Yes. Yes. And that you do, my friend.
Hey, it's a treat, my man. It's a treat. You know,
let me ask you this, Chuck. I know from the years that I've known you, and it's been a long time now. From the years that I've known you, I've seen you impact so many different people. What is the thing that separates those who are truly living a fulfilled life versus those who are living just a okay life? And I'm not necessarily, for those of you who are listening or watching or wherever, I'm not talking about just the successes in life, because those you will create. You're capable of it. What I'm talking about are the people who are living on their terms, who are living and breathing the emotions and the way they want to live, who are living in a congruent life like you do. What do you think? What separates those people? Because you've come across so many.
There's a couple things, Brian. One is I really started adopting a we ideology. And I realized that when I make it about something that's just beyond me, but that doesn't mean in spite of me. There are some people who live in service, and I did this for well over a decade, where it was only about giving, 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 and then hoping that I was going to fill back up. I served in a very unique environment, much like you, for over 20 years. And what I found is that there are environments that, irrespective of alignment, this environment's remarkable. I mean, it's one of the top ranked in the world when it comes to life enhancement and helping people elevate and grow beyond their current station in life. And I go, listen, I know you from this environment. I know some of my closest friends are from this space. I said, so the ecology is great, but everything comes at a cost. Everything. Time, money, energy, attention, you. So what is the collateral that you're utilizing? And I started to realize for me that the shift was when I made it about we. Holy smokes, because now it's not in spite of my family, it's with my family. It's not in spite of me, it's with me, caring for me, elevating me, making sure my body, mind, and spirit, my health, my vitality, so that way when I show up, you get 100% Chuck Hogan. No different than you. I've seen you. I honor you. I love you. The man that you are, how you show up, who you are, and the energy that you bring. And there's something else, and this is still a struggle for me at times. So full transparency. There are times when I don't feel that I'm being completely as empowered as I would love to be. I don't feel that I'm actually in that space where I'm going, ooh, okay, I'm feeling 1,000,000% Chuck Hogan. I'm like going, how many percent of the way there? There's this 2% part. It's like going, why is there this lack? Why is there this self-doubt in this one area? And I go, well, truthfully, it may be because I just haven't given myself that time and opportunity to experience this yet. And this comes full circle to what you were saying. This is probably the biggest definer for me. What has allowed me to actually be more myself is honoring all my emotions, my frustration, my angst, my anticipation, my curiosity, my procrastination, my activation, my, rampant activity of like going after something. I honor it all because there's no such thing as a bad emotion. There really isn't. You learn from all of them. And I would actually be suspect and say that in honoring those parts of me that I didn't always enjoy in me, I've actually found that my RAC, my RAS actually is like, my reticular activating system is so lit up now because I'm going, ooh, when I feel that trigger of, hey, you know what? I really don't want to do that. And I go, well, please, why don't you want to do that? Are you kidding me? Because it's not a have to, it's I get to. I go, wow, that's my choice. I get to choose where I'm spending my time. I get to choose how I'm spending my time and who I'm spending my time with. And so that's what I would say, Brian, for me is that it's that understanding. And I've actually been able to now create more unconscious competence about being and influencing me and honoring me.
Yes. I love that.
What is it for you that the shift, because I remember when you were going into sales, I remember when you were going into and making this career shift, and there was this trepidation and nervousness, and I was so excited for you. I was like, oh, dude, you got this. It's like sometimes people can see the greatness in you before you can even feel it in yourself.
Yeah. Yes. I appreciate that. I think alignment, right? Like I think you talked about have big, scary, crazy goals. Yes. 1,000%. Whenever I was feeling disempowered in my life, it's because my goals weren't big enough.
Yes.
When the second thing is whenever I felt most alive in my life or most just fulfilled in my life is when I consciously decided what it is that I want, how I'm going to represent myself. So two different things, like directionally, how do I want to go approach the external world? Right? So what are those things that I want to achieve in the external world? What I mean by that, for those of you who are listening, is like cars, houses, monetary things, how I want to give to the external world, what I want to donate. Those are the external things. What do I want there? But then the second question is like, well, who do I need to be in order to get those things? because getting those things is not the goal.
No.
Becoming who I want to become is the goal, right? And so the people who are able to recognize that there is no finish line, there's no like flag wave, there is no graduation, there's none of that. None of that exists. There is no I get there and the race is over. It is continual, nonstop, every single day. And so if you're going to have to show up as every single day, you might as well show up as your full and best self. So when I've seen people that are the most alive, that are the most impactful, that are the most influential, that are the most fulfilled in their life, it's the people who have uncovered and understood that I'm going to go out there and get the things that I want in my life that are aligned with my morals, my ethics, and the things that I want to accomplish for my life, but have also done those on the same path of how they want to feel internally. Because what often happens is some people want money, but they also want to make everyone happy, right? So they haven't aligned who they are as a human being with the things that they want. It's the people who create the alignment that just draw you in. And for those of you who are listening, you know what I'm talking about. Like, have you ever listened to somebody and you don't know why, but just like whatever it is about them, you just want to be around them more. You want to listen to them more. Those are people who are aligned. Like, you all know this. You've gone to Nordstrom, or you've gone to your favorite coffee shop, and you've walked in, and there's that one person who talks to you and they have all this crazy energy, but for whatever reason, you don't want to be around them, right? Because they aren't aligned. Then you also have that person in your family or your coffee shop or at Nordstrom. You walk in, you start talking to them, and they say all the wrong things. They don't say things perfect. They say the weirdest, crazy, funky stuff, inappropriate things, but for whatever reason, you're drawn to that person. You want to be around that person more. That's a person who's in alignment with themselves.
Authenticity. Yes.
That authenticity, that alignment is drawing people in versus going and trying to do. And this goes back to what you were saying earlier. When I was on the road, I went and spoke to all these different companies, and yes, I spoke on sales and this whole thing, but what I really studied was human behavior.
Yes.
850 sales teams that I've spoken to, and I studied human behavior. What separates the ones who are fulfilled and successful? Alignment.
That's it.
Alignment. They are aligned they know who they want to be, how they want to show up. And what I mean by that is, if you're listening, who you want to be and who you want to show up. How do I want to feel day to day? How do I want to represent myself to other people? How do I want to represent to myself? Am I going to be proud at the end of the day of the behaviors and actions that I took? That's alignment with yourself. And then say, what do I want in the external world? Okay, am I taking the actions necessary? Am I becoming the person that I'm capable of becoming in order to get there? The people that I've seen that have a smile on their face and who wake up like you do, Chuck, with just this energy that draws people in, are the people who have been able to uncover what alignment is for themselves and then alignment is for the external world.
It shifts life. It shifts life. And I'm going to go back to, please be cognizant of your community. I'm not trying to caution you. I'm asking you to look for people who are living at that level, like Brian talked about. They're being truly authentic. They're being real. You go, man, they're quirky. And you go, no, they're unique. And those people will respect you. They will respect your uniqueness as well. You know, at the end of this all, and as we wrap this up for tonight, and because Brian, we could go on, brother, for days.
You and me for sure.
I'm going to remind you that if you're looking for community and you're looking for spaces where you can actually play and have fun and learn, come check some things out. You know, come visit Brian. You can Google him. You can pull him up. He has amazing sales training techniques. Come check out YBL. If you're interested in, like, how do you live your best life? It's like, well, get around people who are doing it. Get around people who have committed to being in that. At the end of the day, it's about community. And so, Brian, I love you, man. I'm so grateful for you on so many different levels. We're going to make sure that when we post on our social media that it has all your contact information as well, because people need to know who you are. You're not just a sales professional. You are an amazing human being. And with that, I just want to say, you know, this show can also be heard on the Spanglish Radio Network. Please check us out for all the news and all the programming. Spanglish World. Watch it, hear it, read it, download it, and live it. Ryan, thank you, my friend. You're a blessing, man.
Blessings, brother. Anything that you're a part of, people should definitely go check out.
I appreciate you.